What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash today. Shout out to the Dragon Riders in the House of the Dragon. It is the 24th day of April, and here we are sitting at about $458 with roughly 10 hours and 40 minutes left in the day. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and let's get into it. Man, I just keep going back and forth on this thing. I don't know what to think, right? Like here we're breaking out, volumes low. We are at a point where we're going to choose a direction, where we're going to break out. And I can tell you what, as bearish as I was yesterday, there is still hope that we can move up higher. The bearishness, for me, it doesn't come so much from like the signals that we're seeing. It comes from the lack of the reaction from this area. It comes from the fact that this just didn't behave the way that I expected it to be. And with that, I'm still skeptical to see if we pump from here versus dump from here. I'm still kind of iffy on that overall. We really could move up, and the deal is here, man. I mean, if we get above 485, I might be wrong from here, from 460 to 485. But once we get above 485, we're going to be bullish. We're going to be very, very bullish, depending on how it works, right? If we get above there and volume's dying off, okay, we'll be bearish still. But if we're getting above there and volume's picking up a little bit, it doesn't even have to be like this, but I mean, if it is, whatever, if it's picking up to any degree, we're going to be very, very bullish at that moment. I don't care if I made a video or not. We're very, very bullish above 485 with volume. Bullish to the effect that we're going to go to 540. Bullish to the effect that we're going to go up to prices above $600. And perhaps even further than that, right? We are at a kind of pinnacle moment for Bitcoin Cash, though, relative to this year of 2026, really. We kind of are. The only other pinnacle moment we had was over here. And I would love it if we pumped. But again, the reaction that we had here, to me, it seems as though if we were consolidating here and we broke out to the downside and there's no volume, all these things together, we should have had a quick snapback reaction. We didn't. We lingered. We had a double bottom instead. Okay, whatever. We're getting set up for a double bottom. Let's go. Snapback reaction there. We didn't get that either. We're still meandering. But in all fairness, we are still meandering. We are still in this zone. We haven't broken out one way or the other yet, but that volume is depleting. We are getting to that point, okay? And the fact that it hasn't behaved the way that I expected it to behave for the bullish effect, to me, the way that I think, it builds the case for that bearish effect a little bit more. I do want to look at BCH BTC real quick, if it'll let us. Oh, I think it will. Let's see. Maybe not. Maybe it won't let us. Let's do this. BCH BTC. There we go. And now it loads. I don't like how that happens. It's like testing me. Daily time frame here. Looks like we've seen an ABC correction. That could be the end of it. The RSI does look bearish here. The stochastics are not favorable, and the MACD is bearish overall as well. So not necessarily a favorable environment here on the daily time frame, but with the MACD here, sometimes you look your most bearish right before you turn bullish. And I mean, you've already rejected the zero once. If we come back up here in a short amount of time, in my opinion, that would favor the bulls. It'd give us more of a probability to break through, and that could really provide that we are at the low or very near the low for this, and we could be continuing to climb versus Bitcoin. Now, climbing versus Bitcoin doesn't mean that the price of Bitcoin Cash goes up in US dollars. If Bitcoin drops and Bitcoin Cash just moves like this, the price of Bitcoin Cash versus Bitcoin will go up. If Bitcoin Cash drops, but Bitcoin drops faster, Bitcoin Cash versus BTC will increase as well. So we might be at a low point here, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're at a low point here. If Bitcoin pumps and Bitcoin Cash pumps and we're at a low point here, that'd mean Bitcoin Cash pumps more. There's all types of ways that this could work out. If we look at this on a weekly time frame, let's just see. I mean, the MACD is coming down to the zero. We are right at this point of contention, right at this point from a bullish perspective, that would be really good to bounce off of. But with that being said, we still could go lower. And maybe we do. Maybe we go just a little bit lower and we find support directly at prior resistance here. Maybe we go just a little bit lower than that. We find support at prior support back here. A little bit of resistance there. You know, we could drop a little bit versus Bitcoin still and then prevail with these higher lows overall and then still continue to move higher. I mean, We look at this from a low. We put it here at these lows. I mean, that line's right there. We could go a little bit below that line too. You know, I'm not a stickler. I'm not a fanboy of these diagonal lines. We really could go just below that line and still move up. We didn't break out of the uptrend. We broke the trend line, but who cares? It's what matters is higher lows, higher highs. So it doesn't really matter at all. I mean, for example, here, you know, we take this high, we connect the dots here. We broke out of this trend. Oh my God, we should be going off to the races. And we kind of did for a second there, but now we're back below, right? Now, retrospectively, in hindsight, you can look back and say, wow, this trend line here didn't actually matter at all, did it? It really didn't matter at all. Same thing with how we could react here. It might, as long as we're getting higher highs, higher lows, that's what matters, not these little diagonal trend lines. Stochastics are reset. They're in the oversold zone. We can stay here for a little bit. We can still go lower, right? Like here, we were oversold, but we still dropped lower over the next 2 weeks. We could drop. Stochastics here. RSI's at the point that it bounced. I mean, overall, we're in a bullish environment on the BCH BTC chart. We really are. That doesn't mean that we have to be bullish right now, though. We can drop over the coming weeks. We can see sizable drops over the next couple of weeks, maybe even over the next month. 13% doesn't seem that extreme, but versus Bitcoin, it is. I mean, a 13% drop versus Bitcoin would likely imply more than a 13% drop in the price, just for a point of reference. You know, it could imply double that. You know, a 13% drop in the price would take us below $400. So just, and I'm not saying this will happen. I'm just saying we can still be bullishly postured versus Bitcoin, and that happens. That's all I'm saying. Getting back to the BCH USD chart. Actually, hold on. I'm not done with you yet. Let's look at this. Let's look at the ribbon. Oh. There's no ribbon. It's gone. The ribbon is dead. It's in the past. Come on, ribbon. What the heck? It really is gone. Hold on, let's try this again. Yeah, there we go. That was weird. Okay. I mean, technically the ribbon's bullish. Technically it's bullish. We're contracting here. Again, we can go lower. We can contract further, but as long as this ribbon doesn't cross down, it's bullish. We can contract, we can get real tight like we did here, and then boom, we expand. That's always encouraged. Monthly ribbon here. Man, I thought I put it on log, but I guess not. Monthly ribbon here. We're actually right at a point to bounce, guys. And the way the monthly ribbon looks to me, it's as if we have a preordained, prophesized destiny that would take us up above 1%, 1.3% of a Bitcoin. We're at 0.006 basically right now. That's like over 100% growth for this BCH BTC chart. And that seems to be, if I had to guess, that seems to be a likelihood by the end of this year of 2026. If not at least within the next year. This is the monthly chart. It can be 12 candles on the monthly chart is not a long amount of time. But, I mean, it's a long amount of time, but it's not like a long amount of time relevant to this. So, inevitably, I do believe we're going to see prices above here. And with that, we're in territory where we could flip the script on this thing, where we could see a cross here, you know, maybe by the end of this next bull cycle or for the cycles to come. This is definitely a bullish setup for the years ahead if things go the way that I think they will. We're actually right at a point to bounce, so that's nice. We can go below the ribbon and still come back up. That's fine. I just don't want to see us get lower lows, but we're nowhere near that realm of thought right now. At least I'm not. 3-day time frame. 3-day ribbon is starting to cross a little bit. That's not necessarily encouraging, but I don't know if the 3-day ribbon matters that much, to be completely fair. The daily's definitely crossed then. With that, you rejected this here. I'm just thinking this to me does look like we will go lower versus Bitcoin. Okay? It does to me look like we would go lower. We take this from a low here to a high here. I mean, the 382 is right there, guys. We might go just below the 382, find resistance or support at prior resistance. That makes sense. So, again, from a weekly, from a monthly perspective, we can afford to come down a little bit versus Bitcoin and still look bullish. The daily perspective, there's a little bit of bearishness hidden in there. Okay. Let's get into the short-term U.S. dollar stuff, and then we'll wrap this up. Let's go. Let's see. 1 hour time frame here. Looking at this. Are there any gaps to the upside? Any gap downs? There's a gap down right there, and we technically haven't filled it. We tried. We had a partial fill. Maybe we're destined to come back up to 462. We'll see. We got right up there and then sold off though, guys. I don't know. That could count as a gap fill. Typically, you want to see the whole gap fill, but I mean that could count. We still have higher lows. We have higher lows. We're set up in a kind of W fashion. I mean, maybe we do. Maybe we do come up a little bit. What I'd really like to see is that we just go up to 485. Like, please just do that, right? Give us this W. Give us that at least. Even still, I'll be skeptical of growth from those levels, but nonetheless, that would be nice to see. 1 hour time frame RSI. It's neutral, but it's technically bullish. The stochastics are bullish. The MACD is bullish. The 4 hour time frame MACD is bullish. Stochastics are reset right at this area where you'd expect them to bounce. Bullish. The RSI, higher lows here coming up like this. Higher lows like this. Higher highs like this. I mean, getting into that overbought area. Yeah. Yeah. Looks good in my opinion. Yeah, cool. So 457. There is still a chance, guys, that we can move up to this 480, 485 area. Much past that. Are we going to break out past that? I don't think so. Could we stop at a lower high? Sure. Could we stop somewhere in between both these areas? Sure. You know, it doesn't have to get to 485 or even above 480, but we'll see. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that we see that volume increase building as we're breaking above 485. I hope that happens. I got nothing else. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, hit the like button and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, all right? I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.